Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jack Markell. I am the White House coordinator for Operation Allies Welcome. And it is a pleasure to be with you today from Bard College, along with Governor Hochul, who is participating remotely. And we are so grateful to have the governor's leadership in New York, a welcoming state and a welcoming governor. President Botstein of Bard College, and Jalil, who you'll be hearing from, who's a student here at Bard from Afghanistan. A few months ago, President Biden asked me to serve as the White House coordinator for Operation Allies Welcome. And more specifically, he directed me to make sure that we provide a safe and dignified welcome to our allies from Afghanistan. And he asked me to lead not just a whole of U.S. government welcome, but really a whole of America welcome. And that's exactly what I've seen across the country. I've been in a number of communities and I've been so inspired. I know that's a word that's thrown around perhaps too much these days, but I have been truly inspired by the surge of compassion that I've seen in communities all over the country. As of today, we have resettled more than half of the Afghans who have arrived over the last few months. We've been working to implement policies that are responsive to their needs, as well as to the needs of the communities that are welcoming them. Right here in New York and across the country, I have seen so many examples of communities coming together to embrace our Afghan allies. These allies are translators, they're veterans, they're humanitarian workers, journalists, women's rights activists, and others who put themselves in harm's way to support peace, security, and justice in Afghanistan, alongside the U.S. mission there. Here in New York, the state has already resettled more than 1,000 of our allies across the state, helping them get on their feet and helping them to start to rebuild their lives. This morning, I met with an Afghan family in Albany who recently settled here, and they told me how proud and grateful they are to be in New York. In fact, originally they had planned to go to another state. They were resettled in Albany, and they said they want to stay in Albany because they feel so welcome there. This afternoon, I'm here at Bard College, where I just met with a number of the 100 Afghan students that this institution has admitted tuition-free. These are remarkable students, really, really impressive. They are eager to continue their education and to build toward bright futures in the United States. And thanks to Bard and the tremendous leadership of President Botstein and her team and his team, these students are going to be able to do just that. Earlier, I also met with veterans and dedicated state and local resettlement leaders, faith-based organizations, and others coming together across New York to help. And these folks truly represent the very best of America. For anybody who is looking to help in this holiday season, please consider reaching out to your resettlement agencies to get involved. You can also visit welcome.us or welcome.us to get started and to find lots of different ways to offer your support. So with that, I am delighted to turn this over to Governor Hochul, who just spoke with a number of these students. And she just did, I can tell you what, she very much makes them feel welcome. New York has long been such a welcoming state, and Governor Hochul's leadership is so important to continuing that. And delighted to turn this over to Governor Hochul.
Well, thank you. Once a governor, always a governor, Governor Markell, who's now the ambassador for the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. I want to thank you and the White House for making this such an important priority, that it wasn't that we just say you can come to the United States and you're on your own. This has been a very strong effort to make sure that people are integrated into society and that they have all the resources they need. So thank you and the White House for all your incredible work to help these individuals resettle and feel welcome here in our country and in our states. And a special thank you to the president of Bard College, Leon Botstein. I cannot imagine the transition for these students having to come to a whole new world, and what you've done at this college is extraordinary. I thank you for the depth of compassion that you've demonstrated, and what a role model this is for other institutions as well as the students and the faculty at Bard. So they will understand that this is a commitment that's statewide, but also the special responsibility that you've accepted to educate these young people and make them feel part of the family, and to eventually give them that very prestigious degree from Bard College. I want to thank you for what you've done. You know, as I said when I was talking to the students, and I really appreciate the chance just to engage with them for a few moments, New York Stories has always been one of immigrants. And these brave Afghan refugees are here to help us write the next chapter in that great story. And their success will also be a beacon of hope for others seeking refuge from violence and persecution. And the idea of the Lady Liberty in our harbor, which I talked to the young students about, has been the story of New York for 130 years, where people who left religious persecution or left wars, left oppression, and left extreme poverty, like my own grandparents leaving Ireland with nothing, that is what we have always viewed as our responsibility to the rest of the world. But because of that, we are a far better, more enriched, diverse state, and that's a huge point of pride for all New Yorkers. As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled young masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse to a teeming shore." And that statement encapsulates our values. We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you. And the richness of the culture and the diversity and the food and the restaurants that we know are going to be coming because of these efforts are beyond measure. It's an extraordinary part of our story. And it's woven into the story of New York, and it makes us more vibrant. I'm from Buffalo's. The infusion of refugees from around the world has really made this community a place I grew up, a steel town. A lot of people left because they couldn't find jobs for a long time. It was the refugees from around the world that have made it such an incredibly fascinating community again. Same with New York City, same with Albany, same with Syracuse and Rochester. So our message to the world is, send us your people, send us those who need the cloak of comfort that we can demonstrate as New Yorkers with big hearts and open arms, and we'll provide a safe haven, particularly for these Afghan refugees who are so proud that are here. We have already 7,500 Afghans living here already, and we expect to have another 1,800 more. And we send a message from day one. We'll take as many as you want to have come to New York State, because it's a huge point of pride for us. And we'll support them to build a whole new life, whether it's getting an education at great institutions like Bard, or getting a job and becoming an integral member of our great state. And we'll make sure that they have the temporary housing and support they need to just start getting their feet on the ground and feeling welcome here. And in mid-October, our state university system opened its educational opportunity centers all across the state to make sure that the information was available for them to be able to get an education and start being integrated as quickly as possible. But I'm very proud today as I see what's happening, and we want to show that the welcome mat is out. We are today announcing $2 million that I've designated to help for refugee resettlement agencies. And I know that this is going to be money well spent, that we can help them have the resources they need to provide that first home, or help get people information on how to get to a job and get an education. So I said to my team, whatever they need, we're here for them. And they're on the front lines, these refugee resettlement and social service agencies. They're our frontline workers, helping find homes and how to adapt to society. So we're going to be providing medical care, mental health treatment because of the incredible stress that individuals who've been displaced from their world that they always knew growing up and are now in a very foreign place, language skills, job training, cultural competence training, free immigration legal services, which is so important to get those legal documents for visas, as well as other supports to make sure that their transition to New York is as smooth as possible. And I want to thank Barbara Gwynn, our Executive Deputy Commissioner at our agencies, to help thank them for their efforts that they're doing. I will just close by saying this is personal to me to welcome people from Afghanistan. As a member of Congress a decade ago, I had the privilege of serving on the Homeland Security and the Armed Services Committees. in that responsibility, I traveled to Afghanistan with members of Congress. I went to Kabul. I went to Kandahar. I went to Helmand Province. And we met people not just on the bases and supported what the military was doing. As a woman, I had the opportunity to do something that was quite incredible, to go into the homes of the Afghan women and see the important role that they played in providing information to our military to make sure that we could work together to protect the security of the region. And the individuals who played that role, as well as the translators and the individuals who are on the front line providing relief, and our journalists, so many people were part of the United States' effort to eradicate terrorism in places like Afghanistan, to help free the people. We'll always be grateful to them. And that is another reason why we say our doors are open. We know the important role you played as our allies, and therefore Operation Welcome Allies is so important to all of us who are grateful for the work that was done by so many, and they deserve our respect and our enduring gratitude. And I want to acknowledge also a young man you're going to be hearing from in a few minutes, Cahill, for his journey here. I want you to feel welcome. And not just in America, but New York. We're very proud. We want to make sure that you're dressed warm to be able to handle our winters. And if you don't already know how, you start enjoying the winter sports because we embrace it wholeheartedly. And with that, I do want to introduce the incredible leader of Bard College, Leon Botstein, and thank him once again on behalf of all New Yorkers for your generosity.
Thank you, Governor Hochul, and I want to thank Governor Markell and the White House for this Operation Allies Welcome and for your very warm support, Governor Hochul. This particular refugee crisis is one that should be very dear to our hearts in higher education, because what has happened in Afghanistan targets young people who wish to have an education, women who wish to take control of their lives and take an equal place in society. And so learning, science, freedom of expression, and the desire to realize one's dreams without an authoritarian, tyrannical regime that operates by terror, a university and a college has to respond. And so these refugees, especially those of university age and college age, are very much our responsibility. And I appreciate the White House's support and the state's support. So in our case, we have gotten 177 students out of Kabul, together with the help of the American University in Afghanistan in exile, with whom we have an agreement, and the American University in Central Asia, where we have a dual degree program. And we've promised each of these a pathway to an accredited American degree befitting whatever stage of study they're in. And this spring we'll have over 50 students here on our campus, and all of the 177 placed in a Bard degree program with one of our partner institutions or in our own campus facilities. The point there is that we have an obligation, a moral obligation. It's the right thing to do. It costs money, and we're grateful for the support we've gotten to make this possible. But my view is to do the right thing first and figure out how to pay for it later. And I'm very pleased that the Board of Trustees and the faculty and the entire community has supported us in this effort. We think that we have to maintain America's prominence as a safe haven for people who seek to continue to exercise the freedom of thought, the pursuit of science, the basic substance of democracy. And the universities and colleges have to take a lead position, and we're proud that we have done so. And we will continue to do so. And we hope our fellow institutions around the state and around the country will share in this mission. So without further ado, I'll turn the platform to Jalil Sadat, who is one of the first cohort of students from Afghanistan to join us, and to say that I hope that he is one of many who passes through our doors.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here to represent the fellow Afghans and also BART community. And I'm eternally grateful for the kind of support I have received from BART College because the journey that I had all the way from Kabul to the States, it's been chaotic. It was difficult for me because it all happened in a matter of hours. I used to study at the American University of Afghanistan. I come from a background where my family, they were all actively working the public and private sector in Afghanistan. My mom used to work at the General Attorney's Office. My brother was working actively with the US military. He was a contractor. He also worked with the Ministry of Defense. Two of my siblings, my sisters, they were university students, now law graduates, who are all right now in Afghanistan. And for me, studying at an American university to get an education, that was a threat for myself and for my family. And for that reason, I had to leave my home, leave my country. That night, it was 23rd of August that I left Afghanistan. I went to the airport. The airport situation was chaotic at that night. I think it was around 12 a.m. I was at one of the gates and I was just talking to each and every Marine soldiers to convince them to help me and my family. They were only willing to help people with their US passports and their US green cards. But I had heard in the news, the TV, the President Biden promising to get their allies out. So I didn't give up. I started talking to all the US Marines in there and I had to convince them. That was all I had. And that's when I understood the importance of education and how it helped me to communicate with people, because the night that I entered the Kabul airport, I didn't have anything with me but my smartphone, where I only had a picture of my university ID and my passport. And that's how I left Kabul, with nothing but a smartphone with two pictures of my passport and my university ID. From there, I was evacuated to Qatar. I was there for a few hours. I was helping the US Marines for the translation because when I got there, there was a completely different image of seeing all the people that I knew back in Afghanistan who used to work with the government, who had a home, who had their lives together in Afghanistan. But I could see them there in hangars, just fighting over food or very basics for their survival. And it was heartbreaking for me. From Qatar, we were evacuated to Germany. In Germany, again, I was seeing the same image, people desperate, trying to get out because they were under these tents and it was really difficult for them. But I could see a sense of safety in there for them because they were out from this operation for fighting for their education and very basic rights that they had. And now they knew they have a future where they can express themselves, they can be themselves, they can have a better living. And then from Germany, I was evacuated to the States. And the night that I got to the States, that's when BART offered to help. Back in Afghanistan, I used to take online classes with BART, the Open Society Network, OSIN. I had the email address of one of the professors the moment I came in DC, and I just dropped them an email and I was like, I'm Jalil Sadat, I'm one of the students, and right now I'm in the States and I have nothing with me. How can BART help me? And that's when they welcomed me here at BART, and I started to have a sense of home in here where I felt belonged to a community and I felt safe. But whenever I think about the future and also about the past, the level of anxiety is the same. Because when I think about the past, it's all the achievements that I had in Afghanistan, everything that I had worked for all the 21 years of my life. I recently just got an internship in Afghanistan back when I was there in one of the biggest corporations in the country. And it was like a dream job for me. And it was also my senior year at AUAF. So only in a matter of hours, it was all lost and gone. The night when I was about to leave for Afghanistan, I had to get rid of all my achievements, all my certificates and everything that I had, because we were told by our security team that we had to get rid of any kind of association with the US government. And those were the things that I had worked for all my life, and I had to burn them and destroy them at that night. But when I'm here and I think about the future, the uncertainty is what is difficult. Talking to my family on a daily basis, the level of anxiety stays the same. They were recently prosecuted by the Taliban for working with the US government and with the former government. And I would like to close with being thankful and eternally grateful for the US government and also the Bard College for helping me to have a home here and build a new life for my future. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jalil, and we are glad that you're here and look forward to all that you will contribute here in the United States. To President Botstein, I'm sure as you hear that story, it just makes it all the more real, how the generosity of the people at Bard College will help develop our country in the future. And to Governor Hochul, your announcement today of $2 million to support this effort is just terrific news, and we are so grateful to you. So that wraps up our comments today from Bard College. If any of the press wants to follow up with me, feel free to reach out to our office and be glad to talk to you. Thank you all so much.